Play-in tournament.
Play-in tournament. All right, we'll start with the West.
Let's go Western.
All right, so it's safe to say Denver's 6 games up on Memphis, especially with the John Morant stuff. I don't think anyone's catching Denver, right? So that they're the number 1 team. You got Memphis, you got Sacramento, you got Phoenix. Phoenix isn't going anywhere lower than 4th, I believe. You got the Warriors. The Warriors who've been...
I didn't know it was number 5, though.
They're number 5.
No, I didn't realize that.
They've slowly just been playing solid basketball to the point where their Curry's just about to come back.
Remember what I told you?
Playing today.
Remember what I told you on our first episode that with the Suns coming and the Mavericks, yeah, Suns and Mavericks and the who was the team that got better?
Lakers.
Nothing that was it. No, but I know Lakers got better, but like the addition of Durant and Steph, right?
Yeah.
Like let's just say a scenario, right? Like just in the top 6, Warriors go. Let's say they drop the number 6, and Suns and Mavericks are 4 and 5. Okay, the Suns and Mavericks take each other out. The Nuggets play the Clippers. The Clippers, possibly, right? I don't think they're gonna win, but give them a run for the money, right? Warriors face the Kings, right, as a 3 seed. I think Warriors slap them. And then Warriors can easily beat the Grizzlies, right? Yeah. Obviously, I don't think it is gonna finish this way now with the John Morant. They might drop a couple. They're
still a good team without him. Like
right.
Even last year when he was injured and the year before, they played really, really well without him.
Yeah.
The only problem is there's like Steven Adams, them missing Steven Adams.
Right.
It's really like they were fighting with Nuggets in December, and now they're 6 games back in a matter of like a month and a half ish, right?
But I can see how the Warriors can just escape through the holes. And see if they face the Suns in the first round. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to stay at the 5th spot. I think with Curry coming back and they're getting their stuff together for sure.
You think they go up to number 3?
I don't think they could get that far because they're 6 losses ahead. Sorry, they're 4 losses ahead of Sacramento, and Sacramento isn't just going to drop off. I think they're just going to be consistently above average.
Right.
Like they're 7-3 in their last 10. That's pretty solid.
They're going to be like 500 the rest of the way.
Even if they're 500, it's going to be hard for the Warriors unless they start, going on a massive streak. But the one thing I will say, so it goes, Phoenix isn't going to be in the play-in tournament. I don't think Golden State either. The Mavericks, though, right now are tied. Probably after the loss they just suffered against Phoenix. We were watching. They're going to be in the play-in tournament. So you have, from 6 on, you have Timberwolves in the 6th seed.
7th seed.
Well, it hasn't updated with Dallas.
Dallas
is going to be. So it's going to go. Dallas is a half game back of Minnesota, and then the Clippers, Utah, New Orleans in the 10th spot, and then a game back is the Lakers. Who do you think our final 4 from 7 to 10 are going to be? So
I believe Clippers and Wolves, like in terms of like you're talking about like 7 to 10, right? Just
7 to 10, yeah.
Wolves, Clippers, and I believe Jazz and the Lakers. I think Lakers will.
So you think New Orleans is going to drop?
Yeah.
So here's my problem with the New Orleans Pelicans. If Zion's on their team, healthy, they're a really good team.
Yeah.
It's tough because you're missing such a presence. Like Zion is a legitimate star. But every time this guy gets injured, you just don't know. You don't know how long he's going to be. You don't know how long it's going to take him out of the game. And, man, as soon as he got injured, they went on, I think 10-11 game straight losing streak.
Right.
That's hard to come back from. So I do agree. I think the only tough part is you think the Lakers without LeBron are going to make the playoffs? Are going to make the play-in? He's out at least 3 weeks, they said.
Yeah, I know.
That's tough. And who knows what's going to happen with Anthony Davis, Mr. Street Clothes.
I guess if I have to believe in who can stay, I guess, available, who can be available longer, if it's AD or Zion, I think I'm going to take AD.
I mean, that's debating, yeah, but I mean, for sure. You know what I am
it's
surprised
Zion
with?
Is such a, like his weight.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, it's tough, man, because he's such a specimen, super athletic. Like, I think when he came into the league, he was arguably in the 300 range.
Yeah.
If
He
he
was
gets to
too-
about, if he gets to about 265, watch out, man. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
that's all
But
he needs.
he has to, like he was in much better shape this year. I don't think he was in the 300 range.
Right.
But yeah, I find it tough, man. I find it really tough at that point because I don't see because they have a good team, man. CJ,
Pelicans? Yeah,
CJ, Bi, Zion,
right?
like Ingram,
Yeah.
Brandon, like man, like they have a good team. They have a really good team. Many picks still on the way too. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if this offseason they wouldn't try to go after like a starting, either a starting point guard or a starting three, right? Because if like I know they were in the hunt for OG Anunoby with the Raptors in the trade deadline. This offseason, I'm sure the Raptors are going to have to make a decision because we'll talk about them in a bit.
In a bit.
But if they go out after and pick up like an OG and they go into the season with a Zion, because they have Jonas at the 4, Jonas at the 5, Zion at the 4, Bi at the 3, CJ at the 2, and then I think they have the rookie. What's his name? Alvarado.
Oh, that little.
Yeah, good energy, and like better version of Patrick Beverly. He could actually shoot. But if they're able to, like, if they make trades, they give picks or whatever, and they put OG Anunoby on that team. You could go CJ at the 1, Bi at the 2, OG at the 3, Zion at the 4, and Jonas at the 5. That's a tough lineup to go against. You have 5 really, really solid. You have 3 potential all-star players and 2 bona fide top echelon starters in Jonas and OG. I think they have the pieces to do it because they've traded quite a bit away to get they had the trade with the Lakers, picks from the Lakers. The Lakers aren't going to be good, you know. But yeah, it literally it all matters on Zion if he's healthy enough.
And with LeBron, remember that time when he came back? What's the injury? Is it a
Foot.
foot injury?
Yeah.
So
Remember he fell. It was, I heard a pop.
Yeah.
And then he played the rest of the game, and then it came out that he's in a walking group right now. He's actually on the bench right there. We're watching Golden State and Lakers now. But yeah, he has a walking boot on right now, and it's March 5th that we're doing the podcast. So just in case you guys listen to it in the future.
He remember when he had his groin injury?
Yeah.
Right. And like, or Jalen Rose or someone made a comment about him, like when he was warming up and getting back into, I guess, trying to get back into the game. And like, he don't look too well.
No,
he don't look like.
The problem with him in that year, he came back and he was a little bit out of shape. He bulked up a bit. Because again, when you're in La La Land, like he has a lot of businesses going on. So if he's not playing, maybe he's putting a little less training in. Like, I never want to knock LeBron's work ethic because he does put a lot of work into his body and his workout regime and all that. But when you're injured, you're essentially having to do nothing. So it's he definitely came in a little bit heavier than normal, which it's kind of a big deal for LeBron, of course.
So he's like playoff mode activated, and
then
it was like
they just crap the bed.
This is activated LeBron.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I hope people don't think I'm trying to crap on LeBron.
You're a LeBron hater.
I got nothing.
Michael Fleming is a LeBron hater.
LeBron. I just think that he could have done better. I just think there's too much. I guess I won't say propaganda around him, especially with the
ESPN loves LeBron.
Yeah, like it's just there's too much of that, and I think it needs to be balanced out. That's all. Other than that, I think he's a great player.
Yeah,
I think he's a great player. So hopefully, I just hope he was like, he's just.
I don't love LeBron. I actually hate him. No, what do you think about the trades that the Lakers made? Trading away Russ. I mean, I'm happy at least Russ is out of that atmosphere. It's not If I'm sure it wasn't great for Russ playing with the Lakers the last year and a half or so. But they were able to flip a player. Huh?
It wasn't good for him playing with LeBron because
No, not
they're
at all.
both ball dominant.
Not at all. And
'cause
LeBron needs shooters around him. And essentially, they got rid of Beverly, a non-shooter, and Westbrook, a non-shooter, to get Malik Beasley, who's a three-point shooter, a 3-and-D guy. You picked up D'Angelo Russell, who's an offensive player, create his own shot, solid three-point shooter. And then they picked up Vanderbilt, who's a really good defensive guy, super athletic, you know. Definitely a starting, I think he's a starting 3-4
Right.
man. It's just tough because right after, LeBron got injured. But I think they could have crept up. I think them being out of the play-in tournament would have been very, very unrealistic because I just don't see them not being in the play-in before the injury. Obviously now it's not happening. But I think, you know what I am surprised with the play-in? Utah being in the play-in.
They started off strong in the season, did they?
I'm shocked that them trading away essentially 2 All-Stars.
Rudy Gobert.
I mean, Rudy Gobert.
You don't think
that's a debate in himself. I think Rudy Gobert is a very, very overrated player.
Even with Donovan Mitchell?
No. Mitchell's a star. Mitchell's a stud. I love him on Cleveland. Cleveland Cavaliers, they're a scary team right now. Scary team. I think they have the right pieces, especially if this team stays together. Evan Mobley keeps kind of developing and becoming a better player each year. They have a legitimate chance of being top team in the East for the next 5 years at least.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Jared Allen fan. I think the Raptors should have went after him when he was a free agent, paid him whatever money he wanted because he's a really good piece. He's unselfish. He's a great defender. He's a good passer, great rebounder, great shot blocker. Like he's everything the Raptors have been looking for the last 2 years.
Westbrook's on the Clippers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not playing so well. I think they won their first game yesterday with him. It's tough because let's see the stats. Because I believe it. Oh, actually, no, they didn't play yesterday. They would have played the day before. No, Sacramento beat them. Sacramento beat them twice. Surprisingly, when you see a team with Paul George and
5-game losing streak,
Kawhi Leonard.
Holy crap! They went 176 points with the.
You didn't see that? They went crazy.
What kind of game is that? That's an NBA 2K game.
That's an NBA 2K game. I think it went to 1 overtime too, or double overtime.
Yeah, 1 overtime.
Yeah, they.
Who had 50 points in this game?
I don't think anyone had 50 points in the game.
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox had 42.
And he was the highest scorer, right?
And Kawhi Leonard had 44.
I think it really shows that the Clippers, like if you look up 1 to 10 in their lineup, there's not many teams that can match up. Player by player, they're stacked. But for some reason, which we all know, like Paul George isn't the same player he was a couple years ago. Kawhi certainly isn't with the injury. Like they just don't guard anymore. Like they're just not. They're not a good defensive team. You know.
Right.
And defense matters. Defense really matters, and they haven't been playing well enough to show anything. Like they deserve to be in the play-in where they are. And everyone's going to blame Westbrook for being on that team and all that.
You can't blame
That's
Westbrook.
what they're doing.
I mean,
so far, they're 0-5 since he's been on the team. That 5-game losing streak, he's been on all five teams.
No, you can't blame Westbrook for that.
I don't either, but I know a lot of people definitely are. And
well, we should know who Westbrook is. Well, first of all, you should blame the whoever brought him there.
Paul George really wanted on the team. And Steve Ballmer and the Clippers organization were kind of hesitant, but Paul George really pushed for it, apparently.
Well, then, there, we know who the culprit is now.
If you think about it, arguably, KD's best season, it was alongside Westbrook. You know, Paul George's best season was beside Westbrook. Even Bradley Beal's best season, who was he beside? He was beside Westbrook. So you can't say he's not a good player. It's just he's a particular player. You know, it's like exactly my point. It's like Rudy Gobert being on the Minnesota Timberwolves. It'll never work. It'll never work because they do not need a guy like Rudy Gobert. They have a guy in Karl Anthony Towns. Now, if you're trading Cat out of there and switching Gobert onto the team, and you're adding shooters around him, and you have Anthony Edwards, who's the leader of the team now, and this and that. But I just don't see Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves being good. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
I see, at best, top 6 team, knockout first round. 100%. That is what they're going to be.
They're in the play-in right now.
Well, technically, with Dallas losing, they're in the 6th spot. But yeah, I think Dallas is a better team. They're probably going to be in the play-in. They're going to probably be out of the play-in range, and Minnesota's probably going to have to beat. They're probably going to have to win one team. But if you put Minnesota and the Clippers,
Question for you, right?
Yeah.
Timberwolves and Clippers. Who wins that play-in game?
I'd have to give it to the Clippers.
Okay, so Clippers come number 7. And then Jazz and the, I said Lakers. I was going to say Jazz and the Pelicans, but.
We'll say Jazz Lakers because it all depends if Zion comes back.
So we'll say Jazz Lakers.
I think the Lakers. If LeBron is back, I bet the Lakers to make the playoffs.
Okay, so Lakers are. So Lakers versus the Timberwolves for a play for an 8th seed.
You already know my answer.
Lakers?
I don't think Minnesota is good.
Okay.
I think they chose to still surround Karl Anthony Towns as the best player on the Timberwolves,
So
and he is clearly not a better player than
Edwards.
Anthony
Edwards.
Not at all. And
Okay, so Lakers are in number 8 spot and Clippers number 7. That's what you're saying. Okay.
yeah, where would you think right now with how all the teams are constructed? Where would you think Gobert would have his best fit?
I think we go to be honest, the Warriors. Because remember JaVale McGee, and I
He
think
doesn't need any amount of offense. Dunk the ball, get the rebound,
and
play
they could
defense.
use him because
100%.
I think he would make them a
Kevon
champion.
Looney is their only big right now. They don't have any other bigs.
He would make them a championship team.
Yeah, I
Rim protector. Yeah.
protector for sure.
'Cause they
His
have
contract's too big though for the Warriors. You're gonna have to give up a big piece. Like, are you gonna trade Wiggins for him? I wouldn't. Clay, Draymond? No.
You can take a chance on Draymond Green, but the thing is, we've seen this before when the Pistons gave away Ben Wallace, I believe it was. Am I right? And then they
traded Billups.
No, it was Ben Wallace first that left.
It was
They
Ben
got
Wallace
rid of Ben
first?
Wallace first.
I thought it was Billups first, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're missing like
That
I think.
defensive piece.
Well, okay, are you if they have a deep run in the playoffs, the Warriors, are you paying Draymond?
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, good question, man. Oh, man.
My philosophy, dude, was your heart and soul for 4 championships.
It's
And another deep run, I'm paying the guy.
It's a good question.
I'm keeping this core together until they can't.
You remember in OKC, did Serge Ibaka get traded? No, it was Harden. So no.
Harden got traded
Not-
first,
not
and
the
then
same.
Ibaka got traded when KD walked. Just before KD
Yeah,
walked.
so it was not the same scenario. But yeah, that's a tough one, man. I would have to. Oh, God,
Whew, it's a
that
big
team-
deal.
Because I think they're gonna be broke. Do you think they're gonna be broken up after this year?
Well, no, because Clay's still going to be on the team.
Yeah.
Curry's not going anywhere. Poole just signed. I believe they signed Wiggins as well. So it's
Well,
more-
last year would have to be the last. No, sorry, the next year would have to be the last year because they're not staying together too long. Maybe 1 or 2 years after. I don't know.
The only problem is if the Warriors stop winning and they're not a championship team anymore for the amount of payroll that they're paying in luxury tax, it's going to be hard. Now again, you won 4 championships in 6 years, 7 years. Like, it's okay to, essentially eat crap for a few years. A lot of times that's what happens. But I'd pay the man.
Because when Steph was injured and Clay was injured, was it Steph and Clay? Yeah, Steph and Clay were injured for that. Well, Steph played that 1 year
Oh, you're saying, like,
in 2020.
Draymond's not good if he doesn't have guys around
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
I agree with that. I agree. Draymond is a great third, fourth best player on the team. He's a guy he's one of the all-time great supporting cast players.
Right.
Like, he's not a Robin, but he does everything really good. He's a great passer, phenomenal defender, help defense, great. He knows how to blow up your best offensive plays. I think maybe what the Warriors are, I guess, potentially banking on is Kuminga replacing Draymond. But Kuminga's not that guy. He's a good on-ball defender, and he has a solid offensive game, like, developing. But what Draymond brings to the team, nobody on the Warriors have that. Nobody.
All right.
There's not many guys like Draymond in this league, and he is your heart and soul. Like, I get Curry is the guy and Splash Brothers, but
he is valuable though because he's a power forward that can bring up the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like,
power forward,
he runs the
center,
floor,
guards all five positions. Like,
remember he took over the Portland Trailblazers series?
yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah,
A lot of people discredit. I think the only problem that the Warriors probably have a knock on Draymond is the whole KD situation.
And also the punching in the Jordan
Oh
Poole's
yeah,
face.
shoot, that was another one. But I think that was a big deal because it's a sour taste because you had a generational player on your team that wasn't. You essentially had two generational players on your team. They would have kept that going. That's much more than 4 rings. I can tell you that. If they kept the KD, even the following year when Clay and the KD were injured, they would have been in the same timeline that they were now. Even the next year when Clay tore his Achilles and KD would have been back, KD and Steph and Draymond, that's a championship. Without Clay, that's still a championship. The following year, everybody's healthy, which would have been last year. That's a championship. Clearly, if they could win it without him, you add KD to the mix. That's a championship. I'm sorry, every year that's a championship. It's hard not to unless everyone's injured. It's a championship.
All right.
And I think the Warriors organization has a sour taste in their mouth for Draymond because of that, because of sometimes him not having the absolute greatest attitude. But dude's been in your heart and soul for four championships. You pay the man. I think you pay the man.
Yeah. I don't really have any. I don't really have any gripe against paying him.
Yeah, right. Like, especially how much money they've made in the last 7-8 years. The Warriors.
And if you're going to keep Steph and Clay for 2 years, you might as well.
Yeah. And I still think after Curry's not going anywhere at any point. He's a lifer.
He's 33.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how his body holds up and all that.
36, he might be.
I would try to keep them and
36,
let them all
37.
retire as Warriors. I know it doesn't happen anymore, but
Clay might. I think Clay and Steph might.
yeah.
I think I could.
You would say Draymond no? You'd give Draymond like a 2-year contract and then cut. See, I think Draymond doesn't want that. I think maybe the Warriors have tried to sign him to like a lesser contract than that, but he doesn't. He wants 5-year deal, man. Like, you know, his body's breaking down too, for the amount of mileage he has.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's go to the East.
Yeah, let's go to the East. Okay, let's check it out. I'm very familiar with the East.
Let's talk about our Raptors.
All right, so it's safe to say Bucks, Celtics, 76ers, and Cavs are the top 4 teams in the East. The next squad, surprisingly, is New York. The New York Knicks, they're a solid team. Okay? Now it gets a little shady because you got the former championship caliber team in Brooklyn. They're clearly not anymore. They're the 6th seed. Do you see them falling into the play-in, Brooklyn?
Yeah, falling into the play-in. potentially out, completely just out
I don't know.
in 11. I can see that happening.
Here's the one thing I would see. So we're not going to say the names, but
Okay, so they
the
got
6th seed is 10 games back. The 11th seed, which is out of the play-in, is 16 and a half back. That's a very difficult range for. I just think there's not enough games for them to fall that far out. I think Brooklyn's going to be in the play-in.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, so Ben Simmons is like has his minutes cut.
Yeah, he's coming off the bench. He has a few injuries now. I believe he's also. They're even talking about shutting him down for the year.
Right, so
But
Spencer
right now, it's not even Spencer as much, man. Mikal Bridges is going mental. He had I believe it was a 40-point game his last time out.
Right.
Yeah, 38, 10, and 4 against the Celtics in Boston. That's pretty crazy. But Brooklyn's not going anywhere. I see them in the play-in. So Brooklyn's in the 6th seed. Then you have Miami in the 7th. You have Atlanta. You have my team, the Raptors, in the 9th. And you have the Wizards in the 10th. Now, I think Chicago, which is in the 11th seed, I don't think they're going to be in a position to be in the play-in.
Yeah.
Let's count them out. Let's just assume between Brooklyn and Washington, those are your 5 teams that are going to make up those 5 positions. So I think.
Well, I think we're saying Miami or the Hawks. Well, most likely Miami gets the.
I don't think the Hawks.
6th.
I think at a time, the Raptors had the potential to be all the way up there, but they've had too many issues this year. So I believe, I agree with you. Miami would be the 6th seed. So you would essentially have
Nets and the Hawks.
Nets, Hawks, Raptors, Wizards. So right now, my team, it seems a little troublesome because the Raptors' next few games are.
Nuggets, yikes.
That's not
good.
Why you gotta say it like that?
Well, that's not good.
It gets worse. It's at Nuggets,
Clippers,
at Clippers,
Lakers, Nuggets
at
again.
Lakers.
Damn, we gotta face the best team twice.
You come back at home to face the Nuggets.
You face the Thunder. I mean, there's a winnable game. Minnesota's a winnable game. Yikes, you face the. Yikes, you're in some.
So
trouble.
they said after the trade to pick up Pirtle, which was a good pickup for the Raptors, they have the 5th hardest schedule for the end of the year. Okay? Now, unfortunately, the Raptors messed up their last 2 games. They played Washington and Washington. They did it's not a home and home, it's an away and away. They played the same team twice on the road. And Washington, if they would have beat Washington twice, they would have been in a position to be really, really close to Atlanta.
I've never seen that before.
They would have been They would have been in the 8th seed.
Usually it's home and home, but
they did a lot of messed up things for this schedule. They've had 2 games in Miami at Miami. They've had 2 games in Orlando at Orlando. 2 games in Washington at Washington. They've had 2 games in Toronto against Charlotte. 2 games in Toronto against Philly.
Yeah,
it's stupid what they did. I disagree.
Remember, we always used to have a home against the Sixers.
Yep.
That was always the.
Or you'd always go on the road trip and you'd always play Miami, Orlando, or Orlando and Miami. It'd always be that one road trip would be like that.
Yeah.
But okay. So where do you see the Raptors finishing? You think the 9th seed is the best spot for them? I think with the amount of issues that are going on in Atlanta, I think they could be the 8th seed. I think, again, this is if they're playing some tough teams. I think they could get as high as the 7th seed and tinker with the 6th spot. But the record that their opponents have. They have to play Boston 2 more times. They have to play the Bucks, I believe, 2 more times.
I don't know. The Hawks have a very, I won't say easier, but it's definitely not as difficult as the Raptors schedule.
Yeah. Again, here's the good and the bad. So, the last 3 games of the season, the last game is against the Bucks. They might be resting their guys. And then they have they have another. Their last 5 games, look at the 4 games in April. at Charlotte, at Boston. Why?
Yeah.
Back to back. That's ridiculous. But I think the Raptors.
Well, they can beat the Hornets, and again, if the Celtics are resting their players, they can.
Like when they play Miami, they have to beat Miami, and they're done with. I think it's too late for the Raptors this year. I think they're going to be a 7th or 8th seed.
They're gonna stick to the 9th, and they'll play the Wizards for the 10th. Whatever, either the 9th or 10th, they'll play the Wizards. I think they'll beat the Wizards. But
I don't know if you watched the last 2 games against the Wizards. Wizards look like a championship team against the Raptors. But the Raptors' goal right now needs to be let's string some good efforts. Let's string some good effort, good games of them putting their best foot forward, and see where they lie at the end of the year. This isn't a championship team. This isn't a first round. Let's be honest. If they make the playoffs, they're a first round exit.
Yeah.
If they're in the play and they're going against the Bucks, they're going against Boston. That's not going to be pretty for them. So, where would you go with the Raptors after this season? Would you trade one of those core 5-6 players? And who would it be?
Pascal, Fred, OG,
Trent, Pirtle, Barnes.
And Scotty Barnes. Well, I wouldn't trade Scotty.
So Scotty, I agree. Scotty's off the table. He's the future. Who?
What is he? He might carry you in the next couple of games.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh, sorry, a couple of seasons. Sorry.
So here's my thing. Would you blow him up? Would you blow up the team?
No.
Because
keep Scotty. I'm saying for the next couple of seasons, he may.
So here's the thing. So you have Fred, who's a free agent.
Yeah.
You have Trent, who's a free agent, and you have Pirtle, who's a free agent. I think Pirtle will re-sign with the Raptors because since he's come to Toronto, his stats have inflated like crazy, and he fits perfectly in.
He went to Spurs. We had him at first. He went to the San Antonio Spurs, and he came back.
Yeah.
What? My man's back.
Now you have OG under contract for another year. I believe 2 years. You have Pascal for another year after this season. What would you do?
I still like the team. Otto Porter Jr.'s on their team too.
Yeah, I think he had a toe injury or something. He was out the whole year. He was our big free agent pickup, but he played like 4 games. He would have been a good rotation piece off the bench.
Let me see. 2019 was when we won the chip. We're 2023 right now. So we've had OG, Pascal, Fred.
So pretty much every player but Trent Jr. has been a homegrown talent, right? Like Pirtle,
even Thaddeus
Pascal. Young? No. I'm talking about like the core guys.
Okay.
Thaddeus Young isn't doing anything for us.
Okay.
But you got Fred, homegrown. Pascal, homegrown. OG, homegrown. Even Pirtle, we drafted him. I think what the Raptors need to do is you need to. They have no bench. Like last game, their bench is either like really good or absolutely terrible. Like they need to make decisions on players that have been in the organization for a few years, because guys like Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton, they're not getting minutes. We need guards. We need point guards to back up Fred. You have 2 point guards on your team, and you're not playing them.
You know what else too? Because this is Scotty Barnes' second year.
Yeah.
So, I would say blow it up because kind of like when we got rid of Vince Carter and Chris Bosh was able to take the mantle and actually grow.
I was gonna say because we can't do a trade like Vince Carter trade ever again. That was one of the worst trades in NBA history.
Not a trade. I was just more referencing that we need to allow Scotty Barnes to take the mantle. That's all.
So you would get
Fred, Pascal, and
here's the problem.
And OG.
So you're not signing Fred, right?
Not signing.
So here's the problem. Why didn't we trade him in the offseason? Sorry. Why did we trade him in the trade deadline? Even you got a second round pick out of it. Whatever. Now you're making him walk for nothing. Since the championship year, you've had Kawhi walk for nothing. You've had Danny Green walk for nothing. You've had Serge Ibaka walk for nothing. Marc Gasol walk for nothing. Those are 4 starters on a championship team. Sorry, Ibaka was off the bench, but starting caliber. Why would the organization bet on this team when we know, even if this year they had a good year and they were the 5th seed, they're not beating anyone in that top 5, top 4 teams?
Right.
Is Milwaukee better than us? Yes. Is Boston better than us? Yes. Is Cleveland better than us? Yes. Is Philly better than us? Yes. So why are you keeping this team intact where now you have to go and they're not going to blow it up this year. They're going to sign Fred. They're going to probably sign Pirtle, and then Trent's going to probably walk. So why wouldn't you trade Trent? Hell, in the trade deadline, they were trading like 4 second-round picks. Trade for 2 second-round picks. He's a rental. Send him to a team that's good. Get a few picks in return. Start building up your farm system again. Instead, they traded for Pirtle, which, again, Pirtle's a good trade. But you traded next year's first-round pick. So if you blow it up and you win 20 games and you're the 28th worst team in the league, that draft pick is going to San Antonio. So you can't be bad next year. So all that they're going to do is sign everybody they can and just be in that
8th
play-in 6th seed.
Kind of like what Michael Jordan's team went through for like the longest while with Kemba Walker.
Yep.
Just stay.
Just be in that irrelevant, relevant.
But never get a first.
Not bad enough, not good enough, and it's tough because we saw what a championship caliber team looks like with the Raptors. Even the following year seemed like a championship team. Yes, they got knocked out second round, Game 7 in the bubble.
But if they win that game, though, they
had a chance. They had a chance. But the offense from there to what the offense looks like now, even last year, it's night and day.
Yeah.
We know when you look at a team, that's a championship team. We know that.
They fed off that momentum from the Kawhi
but the Kawhi season, you could see that was a championship team. When you're looking right now of Boston, you're looking right now of Milwaukee, you're looking right now of Denver, even Golden State now, who's been struggling all year. You could see they have that type of championship caliber team.
Yeah.
Championship caliber offense, right? I just don't see that with the Raptors. I see, even if they had a great year this year, first round exit. So, what are they doing? Blow it up? A lot of times they complain, Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton and Precious Achiuwa. They're not getting enough minutes. Okay, but they're unplayable because they're bad. If you're trying to win, would you put Fred in the game or would you put Delano Banton in the game? I'm sorry, I've been hating on Fred a lot this season, but I'm still picking Fred to play on instead of Delano Banton and Malachi Flynn. Yeah. But if you set the expectations, Pascal, you trade Pascal, you trade OG, you trade Fred, you trade Trey, you trade 3 out of the 4, even if you want to keep one of them. Fred, we're going to stick around and we're going to keep him, and whatever the case is. By not making a move, you're essentially putting yourself in the same position where you're not good. You're not good enough, but you're not bad enough. Even if you trade everybody and you keep Pascal in the team, Pascal is a good enough player to be where they are now with a shit team. Mm-hmm. Right? They're in a position where you have a good enough player where you're still not doing what you want as rebuilding. What you want is you want to have everybody gone. You want to have, let's see what Malachi Flynn has playing the last 20 games at 35 minutes a night. Delano, same thing. Scotty, you're the leader of this team now. You're the main focal point offensively. The main defender on their team is going to be guarding you because you're the best player on the team. Go. Precious Achiuwa. Let's see what you have now as the second option on the team. Let's see what they got. Christian Koloko, who I think in a few years is going to be a really good center for the Raptors. If he doesn't stay with the Raptors, he'll be a really good center as a shot blocker, right? Put him in the starting lineup. Put him, Precious, Barnes, Malachi, and Banton, and play them the whole season. Yes, they're going to lose a lot of games, right? If you got to go another year with them because you want to be crap another year and get a few draft picks, sure, rebuild that way to see what the team is worth. You don't know what the bench is worth at this point. You had Precious that played a few games as a starter and looked really good. As soon as we signed Pirtle, Precious went on the bench, and now he looks like a shell of himself again. So you don't know. Is he able to play on the bench?
Right.
Is he able to be a bench player? Because he's not good enough to be a starting center or power forward now on a championship or a playoff team because he's not there. So is he not part of your team now? He has to figure things out, right?
I think they need to let Scotty be the primary.
You say, this is your team. Go. Give him the keys, man.
Yeah.
Because right now the keys are not in his hand.
Exactly.
So when he gets the ball and he's struggling, he's playing bad. Like, I don't get all the hate on Scotty. Scotty played amazing a couple games ago against Chicago. He was bad first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. He had 4 ball hawks alone in the fourth quarter. You know?
Right. And with that being said,
yeah.
My last question to you is that I've been looking at this NBA setup, like the Bucks, Celtics. I have to look at the first 4 teams of each conference, right? Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavaliers. And on the west side, don't do this to me now. West side,
Denver,
Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, and Kings. I don't mean it just the Kings. But it's like we know they don't really belong there.
They deserve it. They've had a really great year.
They're not a good year, but it's just that year for them. But
yeah, first round knockout. yeah.
I feel so sorry for.
They deserve to be in the playoffs. They just need to get back to the playoffs, man. That's a success for them.
Where do you see the NBA going? By that, remember when the first 2015 when the Cavaliers faced off against Warriors and Kyrie and thing were out? But I think Iman Shumpert said something like, we knew one thing, that whoever wins this, rivalry between us, whoever wins this finals, that's where the NBA is going. It's going to be going, the style of play is going to go towards that team. And he was right, because when the Warriors won or came out on top, the NBA kind of followed their pattern. I don't know where the NBA is going. Where do you see it going right now? Because with the Warriors falling off, or at least they're struggling, and it's not a guarantee they're going to win, who do you think is going to be, or what do you, which team do you think is going to be the next, I guess, I don't say dynasty, but I guess where do you see the league going in terms of style play?
I think now it's going to be really hard to have dynasties, but I find it hard. That's a tough question, man. We're obviously going to take out the Kings as that top 4 team. We're going to put Phoenix in, right? Even if stats don't show it, Phoenix is by far a better team.
Phoenix are number 4. I think put in the Mavericks. Or maybe not. Maybe not even the Mavericks. Because we don't know how
I think it's to be determined with Dallas.
Yeah. I don't know where the league's going.
That's a tough question, man. I think it's just going to keep continuing on how it is. I think 3-point shooting now is so overblown. I think maybe what's going to kind of push more is if Denver makes it to the finals, and God forbid Philly makes it to the finals, then the centers are going to, you need a center to play against those guys.
Right.
I know how Raptors tried going 2 years without a center, without a legitimate bona fide center, and they desperately missed that. They missed that in the playoffs against Philly because they didn't have a guy to guard Embiid. You had Kem Birch guarding Embiid. You had Precious. You had Scotty Siakam. That's not going to work. Right. What the Raptors were trying to accomplish was a whole bunch of 6'8" guys, long, lengthy, defensive-oriented. The problem is, a lot of times now, your offense dictates your defense. If you're offensively gifted or you're offensively hitting the shots you're supposed to make, you're playing better defense on the other end. I think that a lot of times with the Raptors, They didn't have that. So even 6'8" guys, long, lengthy, they weren't in a position to put 100% effort in defensively. I think if it is Philly and Denver in the finals, I think they're going to try to find that next Joel Embiid, you know, Jokic, you know. They're in the MVP conversation 3 straight years now. That's a pretty big feat for centers, man. When there wasn't a center sniffing at the MVP for many, many years. You had, when Curry was winning MVPs, you had Curry, and you had Harden, and then you had Westbrook, and then you had Harden, LeBron, you had D Rose, Kobe. Like there was a
Wade.
while that
Just
centers
guards.
weren't there.
Guards and small forwards.
Yeah, there was a time where the top 3 players at one point were all small forwards.
Yeah.
You know, I think that small ball. It's tough because like everyone's pushed into 3-point shooting, right? That's because of the Warriors, 100%. But not all NBA teams should be shooting as many threes as the Warriors. You know, the Raptors, who are notoriously bad as 3-point shooters this year. Everyone on the team is having down years as a 3-point percentage wise and all that. They're still shooting a lot of threes. So when they're hitting, yeah, they look great. When they're not hitting, they look terrible.
And I remember Isaiah Thomas. Remember when the Warriors were matching up against the Rockets? The Harden Rockets, right? Harden and Chris Paul Rockets, I'll say.
Yeah. So against the KD Warriors, KD Curry.
What was it?
Was that the year they missed 27 straight threes?
Yes. But Isaiah Thomas, he spoke to Max Kellerman. He brought up a good point, right? Like, he's like, the Rockets have 3 places to score on this floor: the 3-point shot, layups, and free throws. The Warriors had 5: the 3-point shot, layups, free throws, the block, and the mid range.
And that's because of KD.
Right. So
if you take KD off that team,
they're missing the mid range.
3v3.
They're missing the mid range.
Yeah.
No,
the block. Who's scoring on the block?
They have the block, like Draymond or whatever. Looney.
You mean offensive coming from the block?
Yeah.
Not essentially Draymond scoring from the block.
Yeah, exactly.
But in facilitating from the block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because they utilize all parts of the floor.
Yeah. Like Draymond a lot of times will post up, but it's not looking for himself to score.
Exactly.
Got it. I thought you were saying, Kevon Looney and Draymond could drop 50 a game.
No.
Okay, got it. Fair.
But I guess,
I agree.
If you take away Durant.
But you got to also remember, the following year, KD, when he got injured, Rockets had the same, almost a better chance of beating the Warriors because they didn't have KD, and they still lost. Yeah. They got blown out by the Warriors. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like...
I guess my only point is that, like the teams, like, we're missing an element where, like, we don't see the complete, all around of the teams. Like, even when Detroit, Richard Hamilton was a mid-range jumper.
Mid-range specialist.
Right. So, Chauncey Billups could hit the 3. You had Rasheed in the post. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had the...
you had Ben Wallace said, hey, I'm a lob threat, and I'm locking down your best big man.
So it's like, where's that nuance to the game?
There isn't.
Exactly.
Honestly, it's very difficult to see that. Because, like, again, I watch a lot of Raptor games. The Raptors have 2 guys on the team that shoot a very high percentage mid-range.
Right.
Like, Fred is a good mid-range 3-point shooter. He is a good mid-range shooter off of pick and roll. Pascal Siakam is a good, above the 3-point free throw line jump shot. You put him to the 3-point line, he's a little lower. Much lower. Fred's the same thing. Fred's had a really down year. I find the greats, like for even LeBron to be taking less mid-range shots. Like, not only did Golden State change how the NBA played, but they changed how the top players in the league played. Yeah. Like, LeBron doesn't take mid-range shots anymore.
Yeah.
He used to. He took quite a bit. He takes a lot of 3-point shots now.
He does. Durant, though, still takes a lot of mid-range.
Durant's... but the thing is, Durant was part of that team, so he knew... They're not, like... Golden State isn't just 3-point shooting. They don't take 53s a game. They're everything.
Right.
They're 73-9 team, and then the championship year before, they were a top defensive team. Their defensive skill set made them a better offensive team because they locked down players. Even when they had Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut on the team. And then they had their bench mob, Barbosa, Livingston. They had crazy, they were 10 deep legit, where any other team, they'd be starting. And I think everyone took, Steph Curry is a jump shooter, Klay Thompson is a jump shooter. They're winning because of jump shots. That's not the case, man. They're not just jump shooters.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. But I guess that's the next big thing to look out for. Where is the NBA heading? Kind of remember the situation when LeBron was out that year, and you had Giannis, you had Kawhi Leonard, and Kevin Durant vying for that throne.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting year. I loved that year, but Durant got injured.
Yep, and then Kawhi right after got injured, left the championship team to go to the Clippers, which is part of me, man, is kind of happy that he's shit the bed in Clipperland.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think LeBron's not the best player in the world anymore.
No.
I think the pressure this year out of all the teams, if Golden State doesn't win another championship, I think their legacy is set. Anything now is just icing, cherry on top, whipped cream on top
of the cake
of a massive cake.
Right.
Whether they are crap the rest of the, Curry's not the same player ever again. Their legacy is set. I think who has the most to gain this year is Kevin Durant. Because he went after the Kyrie trade, he had a team where they weren't a bad team if you add KD to that mix. You have Dinwiddie, who's a good starting point guard. You have the Smith player from Dallas that they came in return. They had guys that it was still a championship team in Brooklyn with KD on the mix. So again, he quit on a team that didn't have another All-Star to join a future Hall of Famer and a perennial All-Star and a top 10 starting center in the league. He joined another super team. So, okay, are they going to win this year? If he doesn't win, how can you not win with another super team? It's tough because, I think he has the most to lose right now.
Is Chris Paul and Devin Booker, I guess, would that be a super team? Maybe.
You have the greatest leader, a top 10 leader of all time in Chris Paul, right? That's what everyone talks about him.
But,
they literally call him the point god. You have Booker, who's a bona fide all-star, bona fide star. You have DeAndre Ayton, who's a legit double-double guy. You don't think that's a championship team?
Championship team, yeah. The super team, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough because do you consider James Harden and Chris Paul would rock as a super team? No, I don't think so. Championship team, possibly. That Eric
if you
Gordon.
compare them to Golden State, no, they're not a championship team. But they had two guys, and then a whole bunch of shooters around them. But
because Chris Paul has not really won anything. You know what I'm saying? Devin Booker, after last year, that was just embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not
maybe
sure
maybe it's just because of the story. Maybe that's why I think they're not really a super team because that was just that kind of sticks with you for a while until you I guess build.
But everything that he was missing
was easy. Was
KD's gonna be there.
Right.
So
I guess he can be a super team. Depends how you look at it. They are a stacked team.
They're stacked.
They're
okay,
stacked
super team. Sure, we could debate on what it's called, but I think if you stack them up against, for example, the best team is Denver in the West right now. Aiden on Jokic, that's okay. I'll live with that. Who on Denver is going to guard
Chris Paul.
Mr. Durant.
Well, no one's guarding Durant. Well, Aaron Gordon will try, but he's never really had success guarding Durant. Michael Porter Jr. may have a chance.
No, I don't think so.
But, yeah, it's not looking good for Denver, to be honest with you.
That's what's so worrisome. So, like, now they're starting to debate, is Jokic just a stat guy? You know, I don't think he's hunting for stats. Not saying that. Because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's just hunting for a triple-double. I don't think so. I think he is just an all-around fantastic player. And the only way the team's going to be good is if Murray comes back from his injury and comes to that bubble level that he was at in 2020, where they have a legitimate chance. Because Murray versus Donovan Mitchell in that first-round matchup in the bubble was pretty entertaining. He looked like a bona fide star. I just think at that point, Denver is a good team. Yeah, see, they're talking about job. Very hard to concentrate. I think Denver is still missing pieces to be a championship team.
Yeah, I'm looking at
So yeah,
right now.
they're a great regular season team because they're healthy now. But Michael Porter Jr. is unreliable as a third star. Murray is still an unproven guy. He's never made an all-star team. You know?
They got good pieces around them.
Yeah, like they picked up
Pope, Aaron Gordon.
Caldwell Pope is the X factor for them, man. He's a good 3-and-D guy.
Gordon's like a good rim protector.
Aaron Gordon. They got that Bryant guy that they got from the Lakers, who's a good backup center.
Thomas Bryant, yeah. Reggie Jackson. Right?
Aaron Gordon is a good 4. Like their pieces are good. I just this year they have to truly prove themselves. If they get knocked, like bro, imagine if let's say the Lakers make the play-in and it's 1 versus 8. Are you really giving Denver a sure for like a series win if it's Denver Lakers?
Yeah, I'm giving them a 4-0, 4-1 win, but you know, like I'm not like again. See, if LeBron's there, I'm not counting Lakers out. I never counted Lakers, even when against the Suns. I never counted Lakers out.
I agree.
Never.
Me as well. I feel bad because I like Denver. I like a lot of the pieces that Denver has. It just makes it hard to.
I mean, I learned my lesson after 2018.
Let's not talk about that.
I'm just like,
let's not talk about
Indiana's
that.
going to take them out. Nope. They win in 7. Okay, Raptors, you got it.
Raptors were winning the whole game in game 1. Winning the entire game. LeBron was having a down game in the playoffs, and you still lose.
And game 3, you just...
And then LeBron took over game 2. Buzzer beater in game 3, and then our best player gets a flagrant 2 in the fourth quarter, down 25.
And like we looked at our team. Say it again. What'd you say one time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That part got cut off.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You have the 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers, and you have the 2018 number 1 seed Toronto Raptors. You have DeMar DeRozan's the best player on the Raptors. LeBron James is the best player on the Cavs. Clearly, the edge is LeBron. 100%. Who's the next player on Cleveland?
I think it was Love.
Kevin Love. Kyle Lowry. Clearly, Kyle Lowry is a better player. Who's the next player after that?
I don't know.
J.R. Smith?
Jordan
Clarkson? Tristan Thompson? You pick whoever you want. Every player after LeBron James, the Raptors had the advantage. Better bench, better center. In their prime center over a guy who's losing his edge. Every single position afterward. Clearly the Raptors were better. And yet
we get swept.
We don't even win a game. And I called it after that first game when they were winning. LeBron was playing bad. Kyle Korver and J.R. Smith were the only reason their three-point shooting was keeping them close to the game. Fred had an open shot. DeMar had an open shot at the rim. Jonas had an open shot at the rim. And you missed all 4. You shot 10%, it felt like, in the fourth quarter. You gave away your whole... If the Raptors didn't make that Kawhi trade, the Raptors would have been absolutely screwed the next year. They would have been first-round knockout. Okay? They're lucky that that's what happened because they were in a position that you have to win those games. When the best player on their team is having a down game, that has to be a win.
Yeah.
You don't see any Raptors teams in history where your best player isn't playing well and you get a win. So it has to be vice versa. When LeBron James does not play well, you have to beat that team. Hence why that year in the finals, when LeBron was dropping 50 on the Warriors, and the Warriors were playing well in game one, why it was so heartbreaking for LeBron to lose that game because of JR.
Oh, yeah.
Because he knew, this is all I have, this is our win, and now he took that away.
J.R. Smith.
J.R.
Who
Smith.
shot J.R.? Alright, that's enough about the Raptors.
Yeah, I've had it. See, you make
Yeah.
me stressed, though. I gotta have a
man.
drink now. No, it is what it is with the Raptors, but I think the future, going back to your question, it's very hard to predict that because right now we're still at a part where we don't know who's going to be in the finals. Maybe we could pick this up again when the playoffs are more set, kind of have a playoff edition. Might have to figure out a day of doing it before the playoffs actually happen.
Yeah.
Which will be tough because if we're doing it on Sundays, it'll be on the second day of the playoffs.
Right.
But we'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do it the week before. We can kind of predict it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, man. 100%. This year's playoffs, 1,000% is going to be entertaining.
With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast.
Yeah, man.
Like,
Hopefully
subscribe.
we got them all recorded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like, subscribe, share.
Yeah.
All right.
Tweet, even though we're not on Twitter.
Twitter.
It's okay. Still tweet. That's what people say.
Whatever it is that
People
you can do to support
Yeah.
the podcast.
Yeah,
we
we'll talk to our
appreciate
producers. Our people will call your people, It's all good.
All right. Peace.
All right, man.